The Pull Bag is the GCRN's place for everything you need in the comic book world. We focus on new and current comics, while also tackling a few back issues here and there. So join the entire GCRN crew and see what issues the hosts have with today's panels. You can find the Pull Bag on iTunes and geekcastradio.com. Make your great escape into comics.
This week on Off the Cuff, we're going to talk about Xbox One's DRM policies. Wait, no.
Wait, what policies?
Yes.
There's no policy.
There's policies?
They took a total 180 on that policy.
Oh, I see what you did there. Bazinga.
Okay. This is Off the Cuff, episode 19. Forgive us if the numbering is wrong, but my numbering says it's episode 19. I'm your host, Michael Powers. I'm joined this week by Art Danner.
Hi.
By Sean Z. Brown.
Hello.
And by Joe Reed.
Welcome to our podcast.
Hemmed and hawed for the last 2 days about whether or not to record an episode tonight, and then Microsoft kind of dumped something out that I thought, maybe we should be a little timely with it.
It's amazing how dumping just seems to be the appropriate term.
I was gonna say, like dumping being like their E3 conference.
I was gonna say that seems to be
too.
the theme for Xbox One is literally dumping.
I mean, it's they got up on stage about a month ago and they said it was going to have an always on. It was going to be a 24-hour check-in, and they had actually a lot of the stuff that they were talking about outside of the 24-hour check-in. Was straight up Steam, like the Steam store. For anyone that doesn't know, that isn't a gamer that listens to this, I don't know why you do, but there is a video game store on
Maybe
the
they
PC.
just like the sound of my voice.
It's true. That's true. I often fall asleep to listening to my podcast with you talking.
I was hoping you're gonna say to the sound of his voice,
Whispering sweet nothings upon your earlobes.
Literally,
I'm falling
right behind him.
I'm falling asleep right now. No. But
What's that poking me?
It's a store on PC and Mac where you can buy all of your video games digitally, and every once in a great while, it seems like every week almost, they have some kind of crazy sale going on.
Hey, have I never heard of this thing before?
Where you can get PC games for crazy cheap. And
First dumping, then Steam. I see where you're going with this.
It's a steaming pile
of dump.
Yeah. And the Xbox One, outside of the 24-hour check-in to make sure that you are authorized to play your content, shared a lot of similar properties with Steam. I know a lot of people were up in arms about what was going on, and originally this week I still want to talk about Xbox One, but there was whether there's any truth to it or not, or if it can be verified, there was a letter from an Xbox engineer that was leaked online, and it was he's basically explaining the merits of the Xbox One DRM structure and their always online stuff. And if I remember correctly, Danner, I sent the link to you, and didn't you say that he should be the one up on stage?
Yes.
Talking about why it's beneficial to gamers?
Yes.
Because one of the things he brought up was the vision of the future where publishers are aware that they're going to get a cut of their game, no matter what, and so they might sell it for $30, $40 instead of the usual $60. And when I read that article, and like Danner said, he agreed too, it was like, that guy should have been up on stage explaining this stuff to the gamers and not make it sound like we're trying to make everyone out to criminals. But then at that same, I think it was like that same day or the next day, Microsoft released an official statement that they were going to sell their first-party games at $60.
Which totally, yeah.
It's kind of like, and I've brought this up as an example, I believe, before. I don't know if I've done it on the podcast, but it's almost like what EA did with the Origin Store. They came out at one point and said, video games are too expensive. We want to pass the savings on. Can you not hear me?
I can hear you.
Apparently,
I can hear you.
Chauncey's having trouble hearing me.
No, I can hear you just fine.
You got to read it very carefully what he said.
Nice.
I love that you paused. That just,
Well, because I only got the little notification in the top corner of my screen. I couldn't see everything. Now I lost my train of thought.
Because your voice is making Sean as hard as a rock, according to that message I just got.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Huge boner.
Raging, in fact.
No,
steaming, if I may.
It's like when EA said that video games are too expensive and we don't think they should cost that much for the consumer, and then they launched their own online store and turn around and charge everyone $60. It's
What a bunch of dill holes.
Yeah, I mean,
douche nozzle even.
And Microsoft basically said the same thing. Only they didn't. It was supposedly it's an unnamed Xbox employee that said, in the future they want to be able to give you games at a discounted price. Nobody ever got up on stage and said, this is our vision.
Well, the problem is there's a difference between a vision and then actually following through on the vision. I remember very distinctly. What was it? Somebody said that, there's going to be this thing where they're both going to talk a bunch, but only one of them's going to probably follow through on the things that they say. Who said that?
You?
Peter Molyneux?
You did.
I did?
You did. Peter Molyneux never says anything worth listening.
Well, no, Peter Molyneux
he says plenty.
No, he never follows through on anything he says.
I think he's the new spokesperson for Xbox. Which is funny because before all the conferences, I would have flipped it the other way, saying PlayStation would turn around on whatever it said, and Xbox would be steady as a rock.
So,
not so much now.
You like to use the words rock a lot tonight, don't you?
Mike brings it out in me, literally.
Okay, so I was of the opinion that for me, the Xbox One came down to the price, the $499 for the system. I basically felt, especially after Sony announced $399 for their box, I especially felt like I'm paying $100 for hardware that I will never use. Basically, the Kinect and the HDMI pass-through thing, which I would never use.
Mandatory?
No, it's not.
You would use the Kinect, but not willingly.
But no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't talk to my Xbox One. Why would I do that? The Kinect I have doesn't even work.
You'd be talking to it regardless if you wanted to. Unless you could saran wrap your
Xbox.
Kinect.
Go F yourself.
It would probably just disconnect from the internet and wait 25 hours.
Never sign on again. But no, the Kinect is still mandatory. But the HDMI pass through is just they want to be input one on your TV. So whenever anything is on, like your cable box is connected to your TV, you get an Xbox One overlay and a guide, and it can control your cable box. You can plug, actually, they confirm that you can plug any HDMI source into it. So you could plug your PlayStation 4 into it, and that way you would always be able to see who was available to game on either system. Or an Xbox One or a PC. Anything with an HDMI cable can hook into the back of the Xbox One, and it will just put an Xbox One overlay on it. But that's a technology that I don't need, and I will never use. An Xbox will never be input one on my TV. The PlayStation isn't even input one on my TV. So, and I feel like that $100 now it's like a $100 surcharge is me paying for hardware I don't want or need. So now I'm kind of bummed because today they've announced they totally backpedaled on their DRM policies.
Yeah, but they could backpedal a week from now. So
well, yeah, exactly.
It's all well and good them announcing stuff on Twitter or where did it get announced?
Well, no, it's on their public website.
Yeah, well, like a week, like, oh, somebody hacked us. That wasn't us.
Well, they've done, and they've also done interviews
Damn
too since
anonymous.
then. But I feel like, I don't know, they took away a couple of things with removing the DRM and the 24-hour check-in. I feel like they were like, well, you can't play nice. We're just going to take our shit and go home. Because I feel like all they had to do was remove the mandatory 24-hour check-in. And they could have still done what they wanted to do because Steam doesn't have a 24-hour check-in.
It's okay though, because if you want an Xbox console to play offline, just get a 360.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is because they removed that 24-hour check, they also removed your online game library. So you won't be able to share your games with 10 friends anymore. You'll actually have to send them a physical copy. They won't be able to like log into your system or your shared folder and download the game onto their system and play it. You won't have that feature, and it'll be just like it is now, where the game will get ripped to your hard drive, and you'll have to put the disc in to do your authentication check.
Wait, I can't share games with people? We've never been able to do that before, and it was so... Oh, wait, I could do that on the PS3 now. Never mind.
Yeah, but the PS3, you can only do it with one other person.
Well, yeah.
like
Plus,
to share with
I
one
don't think that
person at a
was.
time.
I don't think that was. Hey, you can share this with someone. I was like, hey, there's a way you can get around it, and they didn't make it not happen.
No, it's not. It's not a way to get around it. It actually says you can share your content with one other person.
Oh yeah.
Your tag just has to be on their system. So Danner and I have shared a number of games, and Danner and Joe have shared a number of games that way.
I was under the impression that I can't play those at the same time you guys are logged on. Is that
Yes, you can.
Yep, you can.
awesome?
Yeah, it's Xbox. You can't.
But Microsoft was going to do that same idea, but it was going to be with 10 people. But the way that policy was going to work is only you and one other person can play the same game. So it's 10 people can't all be playing one copy of the game. It's 2 people can be playing a copy of a game. Which for Allie and I in this house would be really nice to be able to buy like a copy of Destiny.
One copy of a game.
And just have it work on both systems.
Well, that would be nice.
Sounds way too convenient for me.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing, it was a lot of nice features. And, like I said, they're just like, well, you know what? We can't have our features, so we're not going to give you the nice things to play with. So they took it all away. Now, the kind of neat thing that's coming out of this is, and I'm pretty sure it was this way before, they're still keeping that in where if you take your disc over to a friend's house and you put it in their system, the game gets ripped to their system. And you can play it as long as you're there with your disc. But when you leave, that game is still on their system, but they can't play it. But they can still, like, if they really liked it, they can buy it. And they don't have to waste time downloading it because the game is already on their system. So it's basically you could buy one copy of a game at a store, and you'd only have to have one copy in the house instead of like, I have 2 copies of Borderlands 2 in my house right now. I'd only need one copy of it. And one would be digital, and the other one would be I'd have to have the disc in the system to play it. So I'm kind of bummed that I think Danner and I are in agreement. Kind of would have had a little more respect if they would have just stuck with their guns on it and shown people.
Yeah, because how can you trust what they're saying? I can't trust anything they're saying now.
I just wish they would have stuck with their guns and forced people to see why it's better. We talked a little bit about before we started that a lot of the DRM stuff is going to be removed with a day 1 patch. So I figure somewhere down the line when they do an Xbox, I love that they did this because now we can just call it the Xbox 180 instead of the Xbone.
I'm totally calling it that forever.
The 180 or Xbone.
The Xbox 180.
I feel like down the road they could release a 180 Slim without a drive on it and just force people to go with the digital stuff after they have the install base and they have the people there playing their games. And they could still achieve that future that they want people to see. And once the price drops to $399, I'm kind of, I'll probably pick one up because I actually wish that they were both the same price because now it would really come down to the games. which I know Danner was looking forward to on Twitter, it being just about the games.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting now that it's going to be. I think it's going to be more so about the games instead of a bunch of dumb policies. I mean, I was expecting Microsoft to do what they usually do and just wave the Halo banner as long and hard as they possibly can, but whatever.
It's important to note that with all these policy changes, the system is still $100 more than the PS4.
Yeah.
And there are still a handful of games that will require an always online connection to play coming to consoles.
Because there's still gonna be game developers making games that need to be online.
Well,
like I've heard that
Crowdsourced content of any kind.
Yeah, well, I've heard Division is going to be in.
Oh, Division is always online.
Always online.
Division's always online. Watch Dogs has a major online component, although it is playable offline. Obviously, Titanfall, which is a 360 exclusive at the moment, or an Xbox One exclusive at the moment. And there's like The Crew. The best parts of Forza 5 will be always need an online connection. There's apparently a lot of people on Twitter that are completely dumb and asinine to this whole thing, that they think because the system doesn't need to always be online that games will no longer need to always be online. But developers are still making games that have an always online connection. So,
No offense, but I think it's pretty obvious that most of the customer base is they hear what they want to hear.
Well, I agree. I'm just saying, like, I at least want our listeners to be informed of the fact that, yeah, sure, it doesn't have to connect to the internet every 24 hours anymore, but there are still going to be games that are going to need the internet.
Oh, it's talking about all the other
that
people that don't listen to us. Those guys are all idiots.
Yeah. Screw those people.
It's interesting that everybody got so angry about that 24-hour check-in when was the last time, even now, when was the last time my Xbox was disconnected from the internet? And it's just, as soon as they took that freedom away, saying it has to be connected, that's when everybody got cranky. But like, yeah, really, when was the last time? I mean,
you see, that's been my point of view this whole time. Is my stuff is always connected. At least, when I turn it on, I don't not sign into Xbox Live.
Maybe I'm less pissed off that it needs to be online all the time. I'm more pissed that I can't give Art a copy of this game and he goes and plays it because it's going to want to check in 24 hours and screw it up.
That's where that's where the game sharing thing was so unique. You could do that. You could make Joe part of your 10 friends. Joe, you can make Danner part of your 10 friends. And Danner could see all the games that you had on your system. And he could download them to his system and he could play them without you having to sign in.
Oh, if they had that feature, there's no way those games will ever be less than 60.
No, that's what Microsoft had going. Like,
Yeah,
That's
I know.
what was going to happen, but now it's out the window. It's gone now.
Yeah, which is why games will never be less than 60 now.
Yep, that's for
Which,
sure.
I mean, inflation-wise, that's still, compared to what games were when we were younger, that's not a lot.
I still paid more than $60 for Mario Brothers 3 from the Kmart.
Yeah, and what year was that?
Wow, frick! I should go grab a copy of the game.
Wasn't like Killer Instinct like $80 on N64?
There was a lot of N64, and even if
yeah.
you go back to like NES games or Super Nintendo, that was 60, 70, $80.
Conker's Bad Fur Day was, I think, the most I ever paid for a game.
Now, the other big
And that was back in those dollars, so I don't even want to know how much those would. That'd be like $100 game today.
Now, see, here's what I find interesting also with this is like there's also been this huge, since Microsoft did this, there's been this huge backlash against GameStop. Like, nobody forces you to buy anything from GameStop.
Yeah,
Like it makes it seem like all this stuff makes it seem like GameStop is the only place to buy games. Well, that's not true because Danner and I happen to know that if you buy 3 games at Best Buy, you get a 4th one for free. Pretty much.
Yep. New games, as long as you buy them off of their list, you get $20 every time you buy a game.
I mean, been GameStop free for, I don't know, since September of last year. I think Borderlands 2 was the last thing I bought from them.
Yeah, the only thing that keeps me GameStop is pre-order bonuses. Usually they're whatever I want is there, not somewhere else. I know Amazon will do pre-order bonuses. Best Buy will do pre-order bonuses.
And well, you know what's dumb about that is they sit there and everyone bitches and complains about GameStop, but it's the developers that put those pre-orders in place with GameStop.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
Well,
It's
GameStop is giving that company a fat dime to get the good pre-order bonus. I think all these sellers bid on which pre-order bonuses they get, and GameStop has deep pockets when it comes to things like that.
But it's just like, why, if GameStop is hurting you so much, why give them pre-order bonuses? Like, why are you working with them? Like, they're not the only place to sell stuff.
And that's been the ridiculous thing about the DRM stuff coming out is they're hurting GameStop, the people who are selling their console. And, instead of, they're smacking them with one hand, trying to shake their hand with the other.
yeah.
And they're just caught in the middle of it.
I just, I'm excited to see if they can eventually still pull off the future that they wanted, because I really feel like they were going to try for something, and well, gamers don't like change.
Oh, well, I don't want that future. There's, I don't, but I'm weirder.
You barely want the future you have now, Joe.
Exactly.
He's like, I just want to go back to the NES.
I want cartridges again.
Who doesn't want to go back to the Super Nintendo? I do.
I have that legacy mentality.
Dude, I haven't had to blow into a system in years, and
I
I
refuse
really
the fact that you haven't blown into anything today.
no. I said system. Wait, is a zipper technically a system? No. Okay, then we're good.
I don't know. Does anyone else have any thoughts or opinions on this?
I want to
think
talk
it-
more
I think it's
about
really-
John blowing things.
Yeah. I think it's really good for gaming that Microsoft backpedaled, and it, even though they were siding with the enemy and siding with the publishers, in the end, well, they realized they weren't going to get their money, but they're back with us now. They're looking at the customers saying, "Wow, we can't piss those guys off."
I don't really think Sony's doing that necessarily either.
Paint such a lofty, I don't know. It's not like they're going, "Yay, we love customers, have free games."
No, they're going, oh shit,
I think
we need to give them this or they're not going to get our shit.
I think in the long run, it wasn't we're going to give them what we want. It's, oh crap, we're not selling as many Xbox Ones as the PlayStation 4. And neither company is taking a stab at the game pricing. Like they both said our games are going to be $60. The best thing Microsoft could have done with showing everybody the future is if they had said our first party titles are $40, like across the board, and that would have been the equivalent of Sony saying their system was $100 less.
Yep.
And they didn't do that. It's like they chose to charge everyone the $60 versus sticking with their dream and charging everyone $40.
All
So
Microsoft really has to do right now, if they want to make up any ground, since they're throwing everything out they already said, anyways, they could just throw in a year of Xbox Live off the bat.
there's nothing saying they're not doing that either.
I know.
So that could also happen. And here's the other thing, the dark side of this that I don't know if I got this on the beginning of the record or not, is that, it's a day one patch so they can patch it out, but there's nothing stopping them from patching it back in later.
That seems like, I don't know. That's kind of a buyer beware scenario.
Well, if they did patch it back in, could you imagine the class action lawsuits
Why?
for all the people who would actually kind of come out and lie about, actually, I lost my content and I want it back, sort of thing. Even though if they really didn't,
Well,
just the fact that they could take it away.
Remember
Are you trying to say
now
that there's
technically.
dishonest people in this world that would
Yeah.
possibly take advantage of a multinational corporation that's worth billions of dollars?
Yeah.
Say
Surely,
it isn't so.
That's like saying people live off of government funding. Ridiculous.
They would totally come at Microsoft with lawsuits.
Well,
if that happened.
there's another, it depends on how Microsoft does it. If they just sneak it in there, yeah, I can see that. But if they go, this update that we're pushing, this Xbox, this dashboard update that we're pushing in the fall is going to bring back our digital rights management.
Yeah. Do you realize what they could put in that hit accept to if you want to download? You don't download, you can't get on Xbox Live.
Well,
but they could just put that in the user agreement. No one would ever read it.
No, but no. That stuff would be known. It would say like, you need this update to play. Everyone knows that you need like the PS3, the Xbox, both of those, they need to be kept up to date or you can't get online with them. So that's a known thing. So if they just like, if they go, our dashboard update this fall is bringing back our digital rights management, and you get that little thing that says accept decline, if you're okay with it, you hit accept. If you hit decline, then you are cut off, and that is your decision. I mean, tech companies do that all the time.
Which is another sign that they're not on our side.
Well, it just depends on. But here's the thing: tech companies. A lot of people have the console industry. We talked about this before. The handheld devices, the phones and the tablets and stuff that we have right now, those came about after the launch of the last generation. And there are apps that I have from my very first iPhone that still run on my iPhone 5. And that's like, I think 7 iPhones later, it still runs on it. And I think that consumers expect there's a certain level of backwards compatibility that more mainstream consumers expect now because of these devices. And I think that Microsoft and Sony they're also aware of this, which is why they went with the architecture that they did, because there's a roadmap for x86. And it means that backwards compatibility with this stuff will be easier to maintain going forward. I feel like they're aware of that, and you don't have to worry about them. You don't have to worry about stuff being taken away from you. They're becoming more and more PC-like. They're just getting, their own skin. I just kind of wish they would have stuck with their guns. That way we could see if they did what they want, if they could have pulled it off. Just kind of bums me out, that's all. Like I said earlier, I hate that there's only $100 price difference between them. I wish that wasn't there, so then it would truly come down to the games. But
the only way that I think Microsoft could fully come back from everything that they lost at the TV press conference and at E3 is if they won't do this part, but if they somehow manage to junk the Kinect from it or be able to disconnect from it, yep, you'll be able to get it for $500 with the Kinect, but if you want, we have this dumbed down version, doesn't have a Kinect, and it's $350, it's $400. That I think would make people stop and go, well, no DRM and none of that crappy NSA spying on me, masturbating Kinect. Okay.
You know what? Either way, if it drops to $399 and it has the Kinect, I'm perfectly fine with that. If it drops to $399 and it doesn't have the Kinect and they lose the HDMI pass through, I don't really care. I mean, either way, as long as it's $399 or less, I'm fine with an Xbox 180. As long as and I'm still gonna wait a year. That way, all their crap can get sorted out and everything can get figure out where the industry's going and all this stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah, there's not enough on the. I mean, I'm gonna miss Forza, but that's not enough for me to want to buy both systems. I don't care about anything else.
I've heard crazy good things about Need for Speed Rivals, so.
Yay, racing games. So exciting.
I'm sorry, Dan.
That's okay. You need to come over to my house and set another lap time on my Top Gear track.
At least that's interesting.
That's good.
I enjoy your little setup that you have there with the racing cockpit. So that at least makes me feel like it's a full-on experience where playing a racing game with a joystick is like I don't really have any anything super stupid to compare it to, so I'll just say racing games are dumb with controllers. When you build an entire cockpit, awesome.
I actually had fun playing Hot Pursuit with you.
Hot Pursuit isn't bad. I enjoy Hot Pursuit because it feels like there's a point. Because you have cops.
It's not just, hey, I got to get to this place. Quick.
Okay. Yeah, my wife's pointing out the fact that I'm contradicting myself now. Nobody pays that much attention to what I say on here, so it doesn't really matter. So, like, when a racing game has more of a point, I can find motivation in it. My issue is with racing games where it's just like, race to be number one so you could be the biggest greaseball on the track.
Well,
when you have like cops versus robbers like we've been playing in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, I could get behind that. There's some kind of motivation.
Well, just getting off topic real quick because I just want to tell Joe and you about this because you like the whole fact that there's a point and you like being the cops and the racers. Rivals, the neat thing about it is it's one of the the newer style games where the single player and the multiplayer are both the same thing. There's no difference between the two. And so when you start playing, like Joe and Danner and Shanzi, all like the three of you can merge into my game, and we can go and we can do different races together. And as a racer, you earn like speed points, and you keep racking them up, and it's like combo points and stuff like that. And eventually, what'll happen is cops will appear in the game world, and the game will go and pull other gamers that are playing as cops, and they'll pull them into your game, and they try to bust you, and if they take you down, then they get all the points that you just earned, unless you get back to your safe house first. And the same thing works the other way. So if you sign on and the four of us are rolling around, as cops, like busting computer racers in our game, eventually it'll spawn actual players playing as racers in our game, and we have to go take them down. It's all seamless like that. Like they're taking that whole journey approach, where everything just other players just come into your game and you have to engage them and race against them or take them out or whatever.
It's a great idea, but I'm never as good as these other players who come into these games, and I'm going to get beat by these people.
You won't. It's Need for Speed. Plus, a lot of it is, especially when you're playing as cops, it's more of a teamwork thing. So it's kind of like what'll happen with Danner and I is like I'll take off after whoever's up in first, and Danner will stay behind me and keep everybody else from getting up to the first place. But the reason Danner and I stopped playing Hot Pursuit is because we started realizing everybody stayed at the starting line doing donuts, and it was just Danner and I racing towards the finish line, which we couldn't understand why.
Kind of sucked a little bit of the fun out of it.
So like Shanzi said, they could change their mind next week. And they seem to be changing their mind on a weekly basis.
I was going to say, like, there's nothing to me that makes it solid enough that they can't just be like, oh, yeah, we want to do this now.
I mean, at this point, I think the next big hoopla thing is going to come when the consoles actually launch and people go to get their day one updates or whatever. Because it's not like the PS4 is going to have a day one update. Of course it's going to. They all do. And, the network's going to die. Like if
totally.
If the networks don't die for either console, more power to Sony and Microsoft. Whoever's don't crash. But I'm thoroughly expecting to get my Xbox or my PS4 from Amazon, bring it in the house, get it all set up, sit down on the couch, and put in my PlayStation Network ID, and all of a sudden it says cannot connect PlayStation Network services. Fully expecting that to happen.
You said that with PS3.
So
it's consistency.
Yes, it is. Anybody else have anything they want to add about anything they might be doing or about the Xbox stuff?
Did anybody hear about the bricked PS3s this morning?
I have. I've been following it because I have one that might be susceptible to it.
I've heard it's only the big ones with big hard drives, right?
Well, supposedly it's anyone that changed out a hard drive. And it's ones that are like 500 gigs or bigger.
I've heard it was all of them. And a couple people with less sub 500 gig hard drives were in it. Could be that the ones that they were changing if they ever swapped in and out.
Because I know Jason updated his yesterday just fine, and Darren, you said you updated yours.
I didn't even see it. Well, I have PlayStation Plus, so it would have updated without me even knowing.
Well, the system updates don't update without you knowing.
Yeah, they do.
About that? Yeah, they do. On PlayStation Plus, they do.
Yep, you can set your time. Mine was set for 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yeah, mine was set for 2 in the morning, so it did all the updates last night.
If it did it at 2 a.m., you might have a bricked PS3 right now.
No, I've played it already today.
Well,
mine was set for 4, and I came home and turned it off.
Mine was set for 4 as well, and it got in after they pulled the patch. But there were people, I think it got pulled after 2 o'clock.
Well, I turned off like I said, mine was set to update at 4, and I got home at 2 a.m. and turned off the auto update thing because.
Oh no! I haven't even turned mine on yet today. Maybe mine's bricked.
I hope you're all right.
I turn mine on today and it works, and because I downloaded Saints Row 3, so I can play that later.
I had my PS3 on watching Netflix Tron Uprising when I read the article and said, "Oh shoot, I better not let it update." Oh wait, it would have already. I think I'm okay. But I did change it to never do auto update again.
So, but
Just in case.
But yeah, like I said, most of the stuff I saw was
You should live dangerously. Just let it do what it wants to do.
most of the stuff I saw was
It's always online.
You know, hard drives larger than 500
Dude, if it breaks,
gigs.
you can just put it with your rest of your video game collection.
Yep.
This used to be a functioning model. Now it is a
And
giant
now it's a
paperweight.
part of the museum.
And if I plug it in, space heater.
Hey, nice. I need one of those down here.
Now, here's the thing. I don't like this brick stuff. These systems are not bricked. They turn on and they get to the ribbon, but the XMB does not come on. They're, when it first started happening, people were contacting Sony support, and Sony was saying, just one second.
Well, I heard the workaround or the repair was going to come from you download it on your computer, put it on a flash drive, put the flash drive in the system, and boot your PS3 into safe mode.
Yes, because
And then
Well,
you can
that's
install
not intrusive or obnoxious at all.
that's what you have to do. If you completely restart your system, that's what you have to do anyways. It's like, but what was happening when people were first experiencing it and they were calling for like technical support was telling people to completely wipe their drives and start completely over from scratch. And so there are some people that are like, and so that got kind of blown out of proportion because technical support didn't know exactly what was happening at the time, because it was a new thing. But the more it became known is that these systems aren't actually bricked. All your stuff is still there. You just need to wait for the right patch to come out, and then you just throw it on a thumb drive, which will download faster on your computer than it will on the PlayStation. And just boot your system into safe mode and update it. It's not that big of a hassle. It's really not. It's a lot better. It's a lot less of a hassle than reformatting your drive and having to re-download all of your content again. Sony has also said that they do not support drives larger than 500 gigabytes. So anyone that does that this happen to, that's your own damn fault.
Well, my buddy might be in trouble because I think he's running a terabyte.
I thought about putting a terabyte hard drive in there. Now I'm glad I didn't.
Well, he had a terabyte, and I think he has a 5 tera external one too, full of shit.
Jesus, I have a one.
The scary part is he used 4.5 of the 5 terabytes. I don't even know what on. It's scary.
Well, I've got almost 3 terabytes full up of TV shows. So.
Yeah, and he has tons of movies and just crazy amounts of stuff.
All right. What was that?
Crazy? Is that are you talking through a kazoo?
Sorry, I was eating the chocolate chip cookie in my mouth.
So yes, you're talking through a kazoo. Okay.
So, Joe, do you want to plug your Geek Radio or no, not Geek Radio? Oh my God, the Geek Garage Sale.
Yeah,
Geek Radio
going on this weekend, 22nd and 23rd in the parking lot of Apparitions Comics. We've got
in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
In Grand Rapids, Michigan. Yes. Right on 28th Street there. Got about 10 to 15 vendors potentially. If they all show up, they better. But either way, we'll have a lot of people there selling a whole bunch of cool geek merchandise, comics, video games, action figures, movie stuff. Even somebody selling some Doctor Who knit plush things.
Artist caps.
Yeah. It'll be fun. It probably won't be raining because Michigan weather is fickle.
And you know what the better part of why everybody should come out? The fact that it's a guarantee that Sean won't be there.
Oh.
Fuck you. I have
But
never
the rest of
hoped
us will
to
be
get
there.
herpes more in my life.
All right. If you want to get in touch with
Anal
us,
herpes.
thank you for that.
You're welcome.
If you want to get in touch with
here to interrupt you.
Are you done? If you want to get in touch,
Yes, I'm done.
I knew that was coming.
I did too.
Okay, I'll stop now.
If you want to get in touch with us, you can comment on our parent site at geekcastradio.com or send emails to us at feedback@geekcastradio.com. Just put the show title in the subject line and we'll make sure that the email gets to us. You can find myself, Michael Powers, on Twitter, Xbox Live, and PlayStation Network at Booth Ninja 81. Danner?
You can find me on Twitter at Art Danner or on the PSN network at X51, the Machine Man.
God, that was smooth.
Shanzi?
Ben Shanzi Brown. You can find me on Xbox Live at Weapon87. You can find me on Twitter at Shanzi Brown.
Joe?
It was super
And
smooth.
you can find me at
Super smooth.
Geek Stuff Garage Sale on the Facebook page. Search for that and it should pop up. PlayStation Network, Wildfire 405.
The Wildfire.
Danner, you want to close this out?
Have a wonderful evening or morning or afternoon, depending on when you're listening to us, because it's a podcast and there's no specific time you really got to listen to it at all, and you can do it when you want. You can
Have a
do it in the
wonderful
morning.
bar mitzvah.
You could do it in the night. You could do it when you want to do me. Yodelay-hoo!
Someone start yapping.
La la la
Yep,
la
it
la
works.
la
We're
la.
good. We're done. End of the episode. No.
That was brilliant. I like the lack of Danner. Love you.
Let's see.
So Danner, did you see the new Man of Steel movie yet?
No. I
Are
only
you
like to
gonna-
waste my time watching good superhero movies.
Fuck you.
I don't. Okay.
Because he hates Superman. So
Doesn't mean it's a
once.
bad superhero movie.
it has Superman in it, so it has to be, right, Danner?
I'm going to punch my dog.
No,
Oh, can I do it?
I have to believe that the movie has to be good.
The ending.
Because
was awesome.
just because it's like the worst superhero ever doesn't mean it's going to be a bad movie.
Well, this
He's
is
not
first
the
time
worst.
they've ever
All
done
right.
a superhero practice.
Give me 1 second. I gotta let my stupid dog out.
I don't know. I still don't think the old ones with Christopher Reeve were bad. Like,
Oh,
well,
yeah,
the
they are.
first one. The first one's not bad
I don't think.
No, I
compared
just,
to other superhero movies now. Yeah, back then.
yeah.
no.
Well, I
That
think it
good.
was always bad because it wasn't Superman. It was he had weird crystals and Fortress of Solitude and superpowers that the comic character didn't have, and
No, that's why in the first one, not when he started developing the vision that can fix things, and that's why the very first Superman movie was just normal. With Gene Hackman as
Don't.
a terrible Lex.
Stop. Stop. To get our movie version Lex Luthor, that's terrible.
what? No, Lex Luthor's not in the movie at all. No mention of him. I think.
No, I'm saying
maybe-
that I don't like the movie version Lex Luthor because he's a slimy real estate agent.
All right. Yeah, that was proof I didn't get any of my text messages until this time.
Oh, me?
Isn't it though? Or me?
Okay. We are on episode 19. Everyone say yay!
Yay! Really? Only 19?
Only 19. That doesn't seem.
Well,
Yes.
19 numbered episodes.
Because of all the specials.
Yes.
Yeah, because we're special.
Technically,
Mostly
it's
because of you, Sean. You
I'm
are
always
special.
special. You do the best Bobo voice of all of us, so
I know, but I use you as my inspiration.
that's
We're at-
right. I inspire you.
technically we're on episode 23. Actually, that doesn't seem right either. Or actually, on episode 24.
We don't know.
I don't know what.
We're not really sure.
The actual numbered episode is number 19. We have 24 recorded episodes, so I guess that would make it episode 25. So,
So half a year's worth.
yep, I think we're about
And
ready,
we-
to, about
and
ready
we-
to call it in and be done.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Plus, we missed a lot in there.
We usually get to 25 and stop.
Well, it's good to have traditions.
This week on Off the Cuff, we're
I
gonna
can cough
talk.
on the mic too.